This is Invisible Work. I'm Anjana Appanna, and as always, I'm back with a brand new episode. And today's episode has quite a twist in the end, so I do urge you to stay on right until the end. There are also some sweet deals as always. Make sure you follow us on Spotify for any future notifications. This is The Invisible Work with me, Anjana Appanna. And what about the other way? Like, does your son, in essence, get what you're doing and what the...
Yeah, absolutely. It actually brings me great joy because my son very promptly tells everyone, when he's wearing a JuniorFolk t-shirt, he'll say, my mother made my t-shirt and, she runs a company called JuniorFolk and I model for it.
This is Invisible Work. You're tuned in here with me, Anjana, and this is a podcast where we talk about all the incredible things moms are doing all the time, all the balls that they're juggling up in the air. And it may seem like nobody's doing a thing, but all that invisible work that your mom puts in, well, it shows in the quality of life that everyone around them lives. Thank you for listening in. On today's podcast, I have another very special guest, a mom who is, I just realized someone who I have a lot in common with because she was also in radio and she's a journalist. And the thing that makes us different is that she was brave enough to start an enterprise after she had her first child. I'm talking with Vaishnavi Seetharaman of JuniorFolk. Welcome to Invisible Work. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Anjana. It's great to be here.
Thank you. And Vaishnavi, I feel like you and I have had some similar stories of our past, before we had our children and before we got married. So I just discovered you started your career in Bombay on television journalism, right?
Yes, I did. I started, my first job was as a trainee in ET Now, and it was yet to be launched. It was a business news channel, so that's where I started. And it continued for a while after that, the journalism journey. But I think there was a point when I decided that it was too hectic to carry on any further.
Right, but I love the fact that you were also a radio journalist. You worked with BBC in Delhi for quite a long time.
Yes, I did work with BBC, and it was a great experience because it sort of we saw how journalists across the world were working, and the kind of things that the news that we could cover, and simply the kind of prestige that BBC journalist enjoyed while covering different events. It was a thrill in itself.
Yeah, and I the thing I love is that it seems like the job itself may have had so many challenges, right? Was it at what point in your life did you decide, okay, this isn't something I want to do, and you decided to focus your energies elsewhere?
So basically, I used to be a journalist for a while, but then I also did public relations and communications and jobs like that. And there was a point where I realized that that when I turned 50, that's not what I wanted to be doing.
Right.
So that's not where I saw myself as I grew older. And that was sort of the indication that it was time to maybe rethink my professional choices.
Right.
And also the fact that I decided to start my family, and it was these jobs generally tend to be very hectic, and so it was easier to make that decision at that point.
Right.
So I took a break for a couple of years after having my son, and that's that.
Right. Tell us more about that. Like starting your family, where you have a now almost 8-year-old son.
Yes, I do, and. Well, it's interesting because it wasn't an easy decision for us to have a child, because we were one of those, people who thought that, the world is... we had apocalyptic thoughts about the world, and why would we bring another life into this world, and what would happen, and... But then through all those discussions with my husband, I sort of realized that despite all of that, I still wanted to experience motherhood. That was actually the only thing that stood out to me.
Right.
And despite all the fears and the reasons why not to become a parent in this day and age. It's still, I still wanted to be a mother. So I'm thankful that my husband agreed.
Yes,
and we decided to have a child, and it's actually been a phenomenal journey personally for me, I think.
Right.
Because I think a lot of there have been so many changes in my own personality through this journey of motherhood. So I think that it really has taught me things that I can't imagine anything else teaching me.
That's so true. And I always joke about how, any apocalyptic thoughts that you might have, wanting to be a parent is the exact opposite of that, right? It's the antidote to all of those apocalyptic thoughts, because what it does to you in essence is it gives you, this unbridled hope to just keep on at it.
Yeah,
right?
So actually, it's just the extremes that we were going through in our minds through that struggle of, whether to have a child, not have a child. And then when you decide to have a child, then what do you do with all these ideas that you had all along, So you just have to sort of compartmentalize it in your brain and then get on with life.
Let the sunshine crack through the dark grey cloud. True, very true. What was that like? Was it easy? Like your initial, was your pregnancy easy?
Pregnancy was fairly easy. Okay. I didn't really have any big issues like that. It was fairly comfortable, and but I think after I had my son, I was in sort of a daze for a couple of years. I think I wasn't the happy sort of happy-go-lucky, bubbly person who would just pick up her child and go anywhere. I had become very homebound, and that's where I found comfort. And I didn't really want to go out much, or I was happy, but it was a very homebound existence for the first couple of years.
Right.
And while I would see, friends and other people in the family, young mothers who would, be going back to work within 6 months, and I couldn't imagine myself doing any of that. And so it became like a prolonged break. It was about 4 years or so, 4.5 years. Before which is when I decided to start JuniorFolk.
Yes.
So till that time, I was sort of in a daze, and there were ideas in my head which I wasn't quite sure if I would be able to execute. Mm-hmm. So I think when my son was about 4.5, I thought, maybe now I could actually take action.
Right.
So
you felt confident enough.
Yeah.
By which time did you have ideas of what you wanted to do, a notion of what your next step was going to be? Were you still thinking, okay, I want to go back to an office and, go back to that kind of job, the kind that I was doing before I had my child, or?
Actually, I did not want to go back to a journalism or PR or a communications kind of role, which is what I had trained for, which is what I had experienced in, because I didn't think that I would feel fulfilled in such roles. So, and I had actually, strangely, I'd always wanted to start an apparel company. It's just that life had other plans, and, I ended up becoming a journalist. But when I got this break, it was perhaps the reset that I required to sort of imagine life in a different way. And that's how the idea of JuniorFolk had already been there in my mind, but perhaps the fact that I chose to start a kids clothing company was because I had a kid.
Yeah.
So, and I was I understood what the issues were in buying clothes for kids, and I thought I could make a difference.
Right.
So that's how it started.
Okay, so tell us about your second child, JuniorFolk. Then I have to say it is, in India right now, one of the most superlative children's apparel brands, because it feels, in terms of quality and design, it feels simple but qualitative, which I think is, what most parents are looking for, right? So how did you come up with that?
So the idea was that me and my partner, Bhumi, she's also a fellow mom, and we were in college together. And when we decided to start this, we knew that, we were we actually didn't like what was available for boys, especially in the market. And we didn't like the dinos and the trucks and all these predatory animals on t-shirts for boys, and boring cargo pants.
And alternatively, superheroes.
Or superheroes. So we really wanted to build a unisex clothing brand for kids, because we truly believe that kids need not have gendered clothing, at least up to age 8, 10. I don't see why there should be any difference in what they wear. They need to wear nice, bright, comfortable clothing, honestly, and that was the idea. So we didn't want any slogans on it, or anything telling kids what they should be, whatever Papa's Pari, or Dad's darling, or whatever things that kids t-shirts say. We didn't want any of that. We wanted pretty bright things, which both boys and girls could wear, and that's the idea with which we even approached the photography for the apparel that we made, because we made boys wear flowers and pinks and all of that, and it was actually quite an interesting journey, because people would continue to ask us when we did pop-ups and exhibitions that, do you have anything for boys? Do you have a dino print? Do you have a truck print? And we would say, no, we actually don't make that. So
it's been one of my pet peeves, right? Like all the girls' clothes. I have a son as well, so all the girls' clothing has things like ice creams and cupcakes, which I know my son legitimately also really loves. But all he's straddled with are dinos and trucks, and he likes dinosaurs. But I don't think he's a truck or a car kid, right? It would be so cute for him to have a T-shirt with a popsicle on it, but it's not an available option until someone like you and Bhumi comes together and creates JuniorFolk. So has it now, you feel like it's received the traction you were hoping for?
Definitely. We've found the tribe that we were looking for.
Right.
I'm not sure how many minds we may have been able to change. That is a work in progress, I think. But I think we have managed to bring together a community where parents truly think that, a boy doesn't need to always wear a particular color, or a girl doesn't always have to wear pinks and purples. And I think that's really what we were looking to create. And we are very, very grateful to that little community tribe that we have created, who continue to buy from us and understand the value that we were trying to create and the thought behind what we were trying to create, and appreciate it.
Right. So what were your challenges? I mean, apart from the fact that you're creating a different thought process, how is it that, you and Bhumi as mums, raising 3 young children, also, what were the challenges you faced as a mum and as an entrepreneur?
I think the major challenge definitely was the fact that neither of us came from an apparel or textiles background. So to learn the ropes of an entirely new industry and to be able to understand the limitations that we had fully, it took us a while. I think that was one of the first bridges we had to cross. And it took us a while. It took a couple of months, a couple of trips to various factory units, trying to understand how they work and whether they would even entertain us and our rather small business.
Right.
Because we were a bootstrapped business. We didn't come into this with the big funding or anything like that. So we had to find a manufacturing unit that would really support us in what we were trying to do. And we wanted to create quality at a reasonable price, and that was a slightly uphill journey, definitely, to figure that bit out. And because we had the idea for the apparel, but to actually bring it to fruition was a whole different ball game. And so once we managed to do that, I think that sort of happened. The adrenaline that we had to sort of make it happen, we sort of just did it. But once you start the business, I think you truly understand what you can make a quality product, but to sell it is it's a completely different thing. So all of these little things we had to learn one by one, you know, like to make apparel, to sell apparel, you know, to appeal to people, to be there on social media, to manage the accounts, and at the same time manage family life. Was it did feel at times that we had spread ourselves thin, but it brought us the kind of joy that we couldn't have otherwise got, honestly. Right. And I think both of us while we had children and family life, and that is fulfilling in its own way, I think starting a business sort of brings a different kind of purpose that's hard to find, I feel. That we found at least hard to find in family life alone. Right. That brings its own set of joys, but this is something that to build a business from scratch it gives you such an immense sense of purpose and accomplishment when you achieve it, that I think it really again sort of feeds into your family life as well, because you feel more fulfilled, more accomplished as an individual, I think, and that's very important, and that is also seen by members of your own family.
That's a beautiful way of putting it, right? Because most often we say once you're a mother, then that is the primary part of your personality, that's your default setting. But it's so interesting to hear that, you know, starting an enterprise gave other parts of your personality the fulfillment that it needed, and then you fed that into your family life itself. Absolutely. How do you think of course you run a children's apparel company, but in terms of running a business and facing the challenges of running a business, how do you think being a mother influenced your work life, and how do you think your work life influenced how you raise your child, or how you run that family unit?
So essentially, like any company would have, you know, these working hours where, you know, you work from 9 to 5 and you have staff and all of that, and we knew that we couldn't do any of that at that point. We were also a very small business, and so we figured actually ways to work efficiently remotely. Right. So we didn't hire any full-time staff. We would work with freelancers who were also many times moms. So we would take them on for little projects for short while, and and we would, so everything we did in spurts when we could give our 100% to it. So we would take on a job and we would finish it. Right. And then perhaps we would have to give it a break because and then we would come back to another task and we would finish it. So actually we had to devise a system of working which was very different from how traditionally a company has to work, and and we had to find our own rhythm of doing that. Yeah. Because it's not that we could do a call every day and discuss things for 2 hours at a stretch and 3 hours at a stretch and have meetings with different people. We couldn't devote that kind of time. So we would give it our all while the kids were in school, or up to 3 p.m. We would wrap up everything that we had to do. Wow. So that after 3 we are free. Yeah. And we are available for our children. Mm-hmm. So it sort of brings a different kind of efficiency to the whole process. True. And you honestly have no time for people who are taking their own sweet time to do things. And it helped. Like I said, we took on freelancers who were mums, and our website work was taken on by another fellow mum who runs her own company. So she also understood that we would give her jobs and we would tell her, okay, you have this day, you finish this, all these tasks on the website you must finish in this day for us. Because we can't come back and look at it later. So all of you all banded with the same sort of time restraint. Correct. So, and wait, how does your son
in essence, get what you're doing and what the...
Yeah, absolutely. It actually brings me great joy because my son very promptly tells everyone, when he's wearing a JuniorFolk t-shirt, he'll say, my mother made my t-shirt, and she runs a company called JuniorFolk, and I model for it. So
I was just going to ask you, so he's probably a primary model, right?
Yeah.
Him and Bhumi's
actually, we
twins.
don't have any paid models so far. We've had all of our friends' kids model, all of our friends' babies model, our neighbors model for us. So it is actually, and we've actually not ever done any studio photography. So all the pictures you see on our website are children playing in like natural light. And
I've noticed that.
So that was something that was the kind of aesthetic we wanted to build for the brand.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to, while it is actually easier to shoot in a studio, it's more controlled, the environment is more controlled, but we had great fun doing these shoots.
Yeah.
It was a different kind of mayhem altogether.
No, the JuniorFolk models look like they're having the time of their life.
Thank you so much.
And the fun thing is that, I always think about it when I see those pictures, like, okay, I'm sure after this, that t-shirt, was run down in mud and then it didn't look like that, but... do your models sometimes run off to play with sand?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like there was a baby we were shooting with one time, and then basically she took we had a dog at home, and she took the dog's chew toy and wouldn't give it up. So
oh my
we
God.
had an hour we were trying to make her let go of the chew toy because we wanted to photograph her, but she would simply not let us take photographs of her without that chew toy. So actually on our website we have photos of her with that toy. So
that's hilarious. She's going to look back at her modeling, the beginning of her modeling career, with much amusement. That's really cute. Vaishnavi, tell me, what is it like to scale up a business like this with everything else that's going on? I'm guessing as your son gets older, the immediate challenges that presents itself in terms of whether it's his studies or the activities he's into will also mean it adds more time to that part of your life. Plus, as your business is growing, those challenges also increase. So what does it mean for you how do you find the right balance?
I think what we figured was initially we started out as any small business, we were shipping on our own.
Right.
Small tasks like that. And there'll be a lot of naysayers at that point where they'll tell you, where they'll sort of not really understand your need to grow. But even as a very small business, we opted to go for let's say third-party fulfillment, where we moved all of our stock to a warehouse.
Wow.
And a lot of people told us, you're too small a brand to do all of this, and you must ship out on your own. And we said no, because that's not where we wanted to expend our energies on shipping. And it made a huge difference to our business because it freed up time from these clerical jobs involved in shipping the product. And once we moved it out to a warehouse, it gave us that chunk of time to actually build the business. So I think it's very important we realized for small businesses to not feel limited in what they can actually accomplish. So if you have a vision of the company as something you would like to grow to be bigger and larger and better, I think the steps to it start at the very beginning itself. And we consciously took those steps. So despite many naysayers, and we found partners who could work with us in that manner. So I think that sort of so when you build with the vision to make the business bigger, I think you also, when that time is freed up, then it allows you to plan for your family life better. Otherwise, a small business can take up all of your time and energy and be a big drain on you mentally and physically. And that's not something.
So then, despite being a working mom, you're saying that you are with your family in whole instead of in bits and pieces, depending on. And that's an interesting model, right? Because more often than not, when you're starting a new business as well, it's all of your time goes there, and then this. Do you have help? I mean, are you a nuclear family setup? How do you manage?
We are a nuclear setup, and actually I have not had full-time help for a couple of years now.
Okay.
And we've managed.
What was it in the beginning like?
We had some help through the day. We never, I didn't have a nanny for the night. I just managed. Me and my husband, we managed together, and it's sort of like I said, the first few years were a bit of a daze, and we sort of just got through it however we did it.
What was your mantra at that point? Because you're saying it's a daze, but I like that there's no negative connotation at all to that.
Actually, there wasn't. Actually, now I realize it, because when I speak to other mums and they tell me that, they were unhappy, I actually wasn't. I was greatly at peace with myself at that point. So, I didn't have... I really enjoyed my baby, and I enjoyed the domestic bliss that it was, that period of my life, and I lived it to the fullest. So I have no regrets about that part of my life, and I think that plays a big part in the kind of person I am now, because I don't feel bad about any of it. I don't feel bad about not going back to work earlier. I was a very happy, content person at that point. I had ideas in my head, and I knew that perhaps I won't be able to act on them immediately, but I was happy at that point.
Was there ever a point as a mom where you were just overwhelmed or any of that?
Yes, it continues to happen. Even now I feel I do feel overwhelmed, because much as you would like to plan professional life and work, it just flows into personal time. And there is no way to stop that. And we have had both Bhumi and I, we've had video calls with vendors and factory people and digital marketing people with kids on our laps sleeping, or while trying to talk to the cook, or trying to ensure that they get ready on time for a class, or excusing ourselves, shutting our video and yelling at the child. I mean, we've done all of it.
I'm always amazed at how any time that the mom spends on anything apart from managing the circus that is the immediate household, it's just so many questions. It could be the cook asking you questions. It could be the ironing lady arriving at your doorstep. It could be the fact that the tap in the third bathroom does not have enough water, or it could just be your child did not find the right shoelace to go with the particular shoe, right? And it's all small things, but it immediately takes away from the big chunk of how your brain functions. Does that? I mean, for you, it must be the process must have like dual ends, right? Because when you're running a business, also small things pop up in your brain that you have to either attend to or make a note of to attend.
We have huge to-do lists, both and I, and we are constantly making lists, because that's how we lead life. Because
of course,
I make a list for myself, I make a list for JuniorFolk, I make a list for Bhumi will make a list for me. I mean, we endlessly live with lists, and we try and tick it off, and sometimes it's a half tick, because like we sort of did the job, but like can't really be bothered any further about it. So so
I'm so curious as to what a half tick looks like now.
I mean, someone perhaps a vendor who we sort of but we don't really know whether to proceed with them or not, so we'll be like, okay, we'll just put a pin in it, okay, and we'll come back to it. We're not sure.
We're there. So, we're almost there.
We're almost there. So so those kinds of things.
So would you say that is your number one coping mechanism? To-do lists.
Yeah, absolutely. To-do lists for everything.
Yeah,
because and sometimes we forget the number of to-do lists we have, because there are so many of them.
And then you have to track those.
Yeah, we have to track those. So absolutely. So it's a job in itself.
I can imagine. I love this. Just before we started, before we turned on the mic, we spoke about how you had a special edition coming up on JuniorFolk for Christmas. Which I thought was just brilliant, by the way. So it's it's like an art project that the children can wear, right? Tell us a bit more about it.
So basically, we wanted to make something interesting for kids during the winter holidays because they'll all be home, and so we created these t-shirts and sweatshirts with cute Christmas baubles on them.
Right.
And the t-shirt and the sweatshirt, they come with this set of vibrant fabric markers that the kids can use to color the baubles the way they want, and then they can wear them on Christmas. So that's what we wanted it to. We wanted to make it more. We wanted to give it a personalized sort of bent, that whole idea. So that's what we did, and it's been a great success. We actually, the interesting thing is we do this personalization for birthday parties, etc. as well, and that's been a huge hit actually. So we recently had a child celebrate a Minion themed birthday party, and we created these t-shirts and stickers for the kids.
Wow.
Which they colored the t-shirts and then they stuck the stickers on them, and then that was one of the activities they did.
How cute.
During the birthday party.
What a great gifting idea, right?
Yeah. And I think it was a great birthday activity that happened, and the kids had a gala time.
Yeah.
And so it's been this is a new sort of line that we are introducing with Color Me Ins, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I have so much. I'm so excited to get my hands on something like this. But the thing that I loved about that story was how you went into detail about how you did not use watercolors as what would be the pigment for the activity, but when you searched high and low for fabric markers, because it would be less cumbersome for the person who is managing the entire activity. Absolutely. Which would most likely be the mum, right?
Yeah, we were very clear on it from the beginning.
But that shows me that a mum truly designed this, because anyone else designing this would have been like, hey,
watercolors
is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's easy on our end. We've thought of this great idea. Here, give the kids watercolors. But it is a lot to do, get it, make sure it doesn't get messy. But then that small switch up, which you've included, which is, fabric markers, which is just you open a pen and let the kids scribble all over it. Only a mother could have thought of it, right? Like I have full faith in how genius you and Bhumi are, but that has to be a mom idea. Is that how it came about?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. We were very clear. We had looked at enough kits for our own kids, and we knew we did not want watercolors. It's a pain. They, as it is, have enough watercolors, and there's enough of a mess at home, and we didn't want to add to it. So we wanted to give them quality fabric markers so that they could, just it's not a stressful activity for the parent.
Yes.
So you just
most
give them
importantly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's making a memory without making a mess, and I love that.
What a lovely tagline.
Yes. True. I've already.
I may steal it.
Yes, please go ahead. Is there anything that your son comes to you and says, Mom, I love dandelions. Can you make a print with that or anything like that?
Not so far, he hasn't come up with anything like that, but he definitely loves to show off his t-shirts amongst his friends, and he'll say, and then he stands out because he's not wearing, he's wearing something very bright and colorful, which typically like boys that age don't tend to wear. So he feels proud of it, and that I think is very, it's a very meaningful thing for me. I think that small sense of pride that my son feels that his clothes are being made by his mom, I think is a big sort of motivator for me almost. Yeah. And I love it. I really, truly love it.
True, I can imagine. What are the notes that, the mom in you and the entrepreneur in you shares with Bhumi, your partner, who is in a similar situation? What are the notes you'll share back and forth?
I think a lot of it, we are very understanding. And we don't take it to heart when the other person will just bang the phone down and say, I gotta go, bye. We may be in the middle of a conversation. I mean, it just doesn't matter. We just continue the conversation like half an hour later, and we'll pick it up from there. And we have and we are free to tell each other, you're taking too much time with this, just get on with it.
Yeah.
So
a deep level of shared empathy.
Yeah. For the very, very busy and the number of things one has got to do in the short time that we have, I think it really builds a different level of empathy and understanding between the partners, which I think is hard to get in a business otherwise.
Right.
Because you would have hard deadlines and you'd have to do all that, and you have to be nice while doing it. We don't feel that pressure so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I did tell you there was going to be a twist in this episode, and well, here it is. The conversation you just heard with Vaishnavi was recorded a few months ago, and when we were about to release the podcast, we did talk to her, and she told us a lot has changed in the meantime. And well, here is the second part of the conversation, and she's going to fill us in on everything that's new and happening with her and JuniorFolk. So much has changed since we last spoke, right?
Yes.
When things have changed.
Yeah.
Tell us how.
So we had been, I would say the writing was on the wall for a while, but we were sort of fighting against the tide, thinking that, we'll somehow keep the business going and, things will change. But we decided to take the difficult step to close the business. And so here we are still in the process of winding up the business. We aren't available online now. We have closed our website, and we aren't available on the aggregators that we were available on earlier marketplaces. So here we are. It's been about 2 months since we started winding up the business. So it's an ongoing process. Yeah.
That, I must say, I am terribly sad to hear about this, because I love the quality of JuniorFolk and, of course, the prints, the idea behind it. Two moms starting this off and clothing kids all over the country. How hard was it to initiate that conversation between you and Bhumi Ahluwalia, your partner? Who started it? How did it come about?
We both knew the difficulties that we were facing. It was quite apparent for a while, and we were sort of pulling through. The main difficulty was, of course, the very stiff competition we were facing in the market, which is filled with a lot of cheap clothing. We did casuals, and there is a lot of options available now, heavily discounted on all the marketplaces, which made life very difficult for us. And we are a small business at the end of the day, so it wasn't possible for us to give the kind of deep discounts that large websites give on their products. That was one of the major sort of things that affected the decision to close. And the other, of course, was advertising costs. Because of the kind of competition in the market and many other factors, advertising costs had really skyrocketed in the past couple of months. Which was another reason that was not something we could see through. Perhaps it might have worked out if we had continued investing in advertising for perhaps another 7-8 months, but we are a bootstrapped company, so we didn't have such deep pockets to be able to do that. So we had to take the tough decision. Yeah.
What would you say has been your biggest learning, from the setting up of JuniorFolk? And when we last spoke, you also told us about how, you have different functionalities in different cities. You have your design and photography happening at one place. You have the clothes actually being made at another place. Storage is elsewhere. Yeah. So it was a lot of moving parts, right? Correct. Would you say are the key lessons you learned as an entrepreneur? Something that you can take to your next venture?
I think there's a lot of, it's a reality check to run your own business. I think that is the biggest learning, I would say, because you have to be, it's good to be hopeful, but I think once you run a business, you are wary of being idealistic, because you really understand that, while you can plan for things, they may not really go that way. And you must be prepared to deal with issues as they come. Because and every day there'll be a new issue which you have to learn to deal with. So I think that was one of the biggest learnings, and also being able to delegate tasks and share tasks. I think that is also a big learning, especially when you're not a very large company, when you're a small company with a small group of people working, and perhaps you are hiring freelancers to do certain tasks. I think it's important to be able to know what your strengths are and to do those tasks, and to share those or delegate the tasks that are not your strengths, so that you are not bogged down in the process of running the business. So I think these two would perhaps be two big learnings that I would take back. Yeah.
And we all discuss quite often the difficulties and challenges of setting up a small company.
Yeah.
What are the challenges of winding down? Because I'm sure those are also complicated matters with a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, we are, it depends on the kind of registration the company has. We are a private limited company, so it has, its own issues in winding up. The biggest issue actually is finishing off the stock that you have, the inventory that you have. And to do so in a timely manner, and that is one big challenge that is there. And of course, just the figuring out the accounting bit, those are challenges. And apart from all this, I think is the mental kind of preparing yourself to close something that you have been running for a couple of years now. You have to do it of course it is sad, but I think it's important to do it in the right frame of mind, to know that you closed it at a time before it became too hard to manage, or it became a non-profit, an entirely unprofitable venture. So to take that call is actually hard before you go into red entirely, to say that no, okay, this is not going to work and we need to stop it. I think it takes a little bit of courage to be able to say that, because you can be very, very hopeful and keep saying that no, things will change, and things will come around, and it'll be all right. But to take that step in itself and to do so in the right frame of mind is an important thing, I feel.
I mean, sometimes they do say that knowing when to stop is half the battle won, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And if I may just say, Vaishnavi, that you are one of the most graceful people I've met in that your attitude towards things are almost optimistic and positive, to a point where I want to ask you, what do you have for breakfast every morning to leave you like this? But it's nice to see that you're able to end such a significant chapter of your life with such grace and positivity. I feel like there's always so much to learn from all our entrepreneurial moms, and this is one thing I will take back from you. What is your next adventure? Do you have anything planned?
Not yet. I am going to take a break for a couple of months perhaps, and think about what is it that really drives me, and then take it from there. I think I don't want to hurry into the next chapter, whatever it may be. And I have been mentoring some few small businesses, and I will continue to do so in the time that I have. It's not something that I ever thought I would do, but it's surprisingly fulfilling. So I have been doing that. So yeah.
I can imagine. Sounds wonderful. And thank you for talking to us again for the second time. We look forward to showcasing your next big thing. And I know that you have a great deal for all of our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that you know that we are winding up, we have all of our apparel is being heavily discounted. And if you would like to purchase from us, please WhatsApp us on 99 588 44132.
That is fantastic. So, for all you listeners of The Invisible Work, you are going to get heavy discounts on absolute premier quality clothing for your children on JuniorFolk. So, you can WhatsApp the number that Vaishnavi mentioned, and all of the details are in the show notes below. Thank you again, Vaishnavi. As always, wonderful talking to you. And to you listening, make sure you check out our website, invisiblework.mom, and send me feedback at anjana@invisiblework.mom.